What does it take for a single moment to unravel the fragile threads of civility? On a crisp autumn morning, the bustling terminal of Horizon Airlines at JFK International Airport hummed with the usual chaos of travelers. Among them was Amara Johnson, a 32-year-old black woman cradling her 6-month-old daughter, Nia, in her arms. Her warm brown eyes scanned the crowd, searching for her gate, her heart heavy with the exhaustion of a long trip. Amara was no stranger to airports, but today felt different. The air carried a tension she couldn't quite place. She adjusted Nia's blanket, the baby cooing softly, unaware of the storm brewing. Amara's sleek navy coat and polished demeanor marked her as someone who belonged, yet she felt the weight of eyes on her judging, assessing. She was used to it, the subtle glances that lingered too long, the whispers that followed her through public spaces. But she pushed forward, her steps deliberate, her focus on getting to her connecting flight to Chicago. At Gate 23, the boarding process had already begun. The line was long, and the gate agents, two women in crisp Horizon Airlines uniforms, moved with the mechanical efficiency of seasoned employees. Their name tags read Karen and Lisa. Karen, the older of the two, had a sharp jawline and a pinched expression, her blonde hair pulled into a tight bun. Lisa, younger and wiry, mirrored her colleagues' impatience. The crowd pressed forward, a mix of business travelers and families, their voices blending into a low roar. Amara approached the counter, her boarding pass in hand. Nia fussed slightly, and Amara rocked her gently, murmuring soft reassurances. She handed her pass to Karen, who barely glanced at it before barking, "You're in the wrong line. Economy boards last." Amara's brow furrowed. "I'm in first class," she said calmly, pointing to the ticket. "It says 1A. Karen's eyes flicked to the pass, then back to Amara. Her lips curled into a skeptical smirk. "First class? You sure about that?" Her tone dripped with condescension, as if Amara had wandered into a space she didn't belong. Amara's chest tightened, but she kept her voice steady. "Yes, I'm sure. Can you please scan it?" Lisa stepped forward, her arms crossed. "Ma'am, don't get an attitude. We're just doing our jobs." The word "ma'am" sounded like an accusation, sharp and pointed. A few passengers turned to watch, their curiosity piqued by the rising tension. "I'm not getting an attitude," Amara replied, her voice firm but measured. "I just want to board my flight." Karen leaned closer, her voice low but venomous. "People like you always think you can skip the rules." The implication hung heavy in the air, unspoken but clear. Amara's skin, her presence, her very existence seemed to offend them. Nia began to cry, sensing her mother's distress. Amara's arms tightened around her daughter, her heart pounding. "Please," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "I'm just trying to get home." The situation escalated in a heartbeat. Karen reached out, her hand striking Amara's arm not hard, but enough to sting, enough to shock. "Don't raise your voice at me," she snapped. Lisa followed suit, her hand grazing Amara's shoulder in a dismissive shove. The crowd gasped, a collective intake of breath. Amara stumbled back, clutching Nia tightly, her eyes wide with disbelief. For a moment, time froze. The terminal seemed to hold its breath, the hum of voices fading into a deafening silence. Amara's mind raced. She wanted to scream, to demand respect, but the weight of her daughter in her arms grounded her. She wouldn't let them see her break. Then a voice cut through the tension like a blade. "What the hell is going on here?" Deep, authoritative, it belonged to a man striding toward the gate. Marcus Johnson, Amara's husband, was a towering figure in a tailored suit, his dark skin gleaming under the fluorescent lights. His presence commanded attention, and the crowd parted instinctively as he approached. Karen and Lisa froze, their faces paling. Marcus's eyes locked onto Amara, softening for a moment before turning to the gate agents with a fury that made them shrink. "Did you just put your hands on my wife?" he demanded, his voice low but laced with steel. Amara touched his arm, her voice steady despite the tremor in her hands. "Marcus, it's okay. Let's just go." But Marcus wasn't having it. No, Amara, this isn't okay. He turned to the agents, his gaze unyielding. Do you know who I am? Karen stammered, her bravado crumbling. Sir, we were just. I'm Marcus Johnson, he interrupted, his voice cutting through her excuse. I own Horizon Airlines. The words landed like a thunderclap. Karen's mouth dropped open, and Lisa's eyes widened in horror. The crowd murmured, phones already out, recording the scene. Marcus's ownership of Horizon wasn't just a title. It was the culmination of years of grit, sacrifice, and defiance against a world that often tried to box him in. He'd built the airline from a small regional carrier into a national powerhouse, and he'd done it while navigating the same prejudice Amara faced daily. You think you can treat people like this because of how they look? Marcus continued, his voice rising. You think you can lay hands on my wife, who's holding our daughter, because you assume she doesn't belong? Karen tried to speak, but Marcus held up a hand. Don't. You're done. He pulled out his phone, dialing a number. Within minutes, a supervisor arrived, her face grim as she listened to Marcus's account. Karen and Lisa were escorted away, their careers at Horizon effectively over. Amara stood silently, her heart still racing. She didn't want the spectacle, the confrontation. But as she looked at Marcus, she saw the pain in his eyes, the same pain she felt. This wasn't just about them. It was about every person who'd ever been judged, dismissed, or assaulted because of their skin. As they boarded the plane, the first-class cabin quiet, Amara settled in her seat, Nia now calm in her lap. Marcus sat beside her, his hand resting on hers. I'm sorry, he whispered. I should have been there sooner. She shook her head, her voice soft. You're here now. That's what matters. The flight took off, the hum of the engines a soothing contrast to the chaos below. Amara gazed out the window, the clouds stretching endlessly before her. She thought about the incident, about the countless others like it that didn't end with justice. She thought about Nia, growing up in a world that could be so cruel, yet so beautiful. And she thought about the strength it took to keep going, to demand respect, to love fiercely despite it all. When they landed in Chicago, the story had already spread. Social media buzzed with videos of the confrontation, hashtags like Justice for Amara trending. Horizon Airlines issued a public apology, promising sweeping changes to employee training and diversity policies. Marcus personally oversaw the initiative, determined to make his company a beacon of inclusion. But for Amara, the victory was bittersweet. She didn't want to be a hashtag or a headline. She wanted a world where she could walk through an airport without fear, where her daughter could grow up without the sting of prejudice. As she and Marcus stepped off the plane, hand in hand, she felt a flicker of hope. Change was slow, painful, but possible, and they would fight for it, together, one step at a time. Thank you for listening. If you find it interesting, please like and subscribe to follow the next stories.